Hi, I'm Kevin Hill, and today we're going to do another fun painting. So let's get started. We'll start off today with a little bit of black and brown on a 2-inch brush. Maybe we'll add just a little touch of blue to that. And now with that color, we'll come right up here to the top and drop in just a little bit of sky. I think we're going to have kind of a cloudy day today. Maybe we'll have some mountains down here. I think this will be some big clouds floating around the mountain. And this is the sky. It's kind of showing through the clouds. With a little bit of white paint on a 1-inch brush, we'll just fill in the little areas over here that we didn't put blue in. Just create some nice little clouds. We left those areas without any paint so that we could get a very nice bright white cloud. I'm using tiny, tiny circles just to drop in a nice, soft shape. These clouds are not too distinct today. I'm even just going to throw in a little bit of color and we'll blend it out later. There's some right there. Very, very soft today. You can even just touch into a little bit of brown to give yourself a shadow, a little bit of warmth to that sky. That looks nice. Just sprinkle it in here and there. Now with a clean 2-inch brush, we can come right in here and begin to blend this sky. I think I'm just going to use tiny little circles today, just to gently, gently mix this sky up. Just enough to soften it. We're not going to spend too much time on the sky today. It's just going to be soft and in the background. All right, when you have that done, then we can blend gently across. This makes everything even. Just blend it right in. Now I have a little bit of that sky color left over. I'm just going to add some white to it. That'll lighten it up just a little. And then cut off a little bit of paint. Now let's do a mountain right there. Let's make it a little higher. We're going to have several mountains in our painting today. So we'll just drop in the basic outline of the mountain. Very, very little paint here. I'm scraping away most of it. Back to the clean 2-inch brush. We'll grab this mountain at the top and blend it down. Notice how that makes it just a little bit lighter. And it pushes it very, very far away. This mountain has almost no detail on it. In fact, I'm going to be careful here and make sure I don't have any paint build up on the edge. Blend that mountain right out. Very, very lightly. Just let it disappear in the background. Brush over the entire thing if you want to. Really, really soften it. Before we go too far, I'm going to pick up just a little bit of white on the corner of a 2-inch brush. And maybe right in here. I'm going to carefully and gently float some of that white right around the mountain there. Now this brush is very clean, and I'm not going back up into that white. I'm just staying on the edge here. Very light. Blend it in. Now flip it over, and the other end is clean, and we can blend it away right into that sky. And it just looks like the cloud is floating around this mountain. But you have to be careful. Make sure you don't have any big buildups of paint on your mountain when you do this. Otherwise you'll make a big mess. The last thing we want to do to this mountain is just add in a little tiny touch of snow. Now I'm not going to put any shadow. It's just going to be this base color. And I'm going to rub it in pretty hard with the knife. Not so hard that it all mixes together, but I am applying some pressure to that knife. There's not much paint here. If you use too much paint, this won't work. Very, very little texture. It just gives me a snow-capped mountain look, but it's so far away. With a little bit more black in that color, we can make another mountain right in front of this one. Watch how this is going to push that one even further away, which is exactly what I want. And scrape it just like you did the other one. Now we can begin making another mountain. I think we're going to have quite a few mountains today. And we'll just drop this one in the same exact way. Just run a little bit of that color right along. It doesn't have to be too much different than the one behind it. In fact, maybe in our painting, this mountain is almost at the same level as that one. So just a little bit of paint. We can add just a little bit of highlight to this mountain the same exact way. Just rub it right in. A little bit more pressure than normal, because we're not too concerned about the breaking today. At least right now. Too much breaking would make this mountain look close, and I don't really want it to be close at all. So maybe if you're having a little trouble getting your paint to break, this is a good painting for you. Because you can be a little bit more loose here. Just kind of throw it in. Very, very far away. Just a hint of detail. That's all we want. Now I've added just a little bit of black and brown to that same pile of paint. And let's do one last mountain. And of course, this one will be the closest. And that black and brown will really help to bring this mountain forward. Just drop in the basic outline. I just want you to see, look at all this depth we've created back in here. Layers and layers and layers of mountain. That's great. That painting goes back for miles. That's what'll make your painting special. Put in extra detail. Try to work in a lot of this depth. And your painting will be very interesting. People will just stand there and look at it for a long time. It goes back forever. It's exciting. It's great. And scrape that mountain out. Same way. Next, we'll put on just a little bit of highlight. Drop it right on. We're still using the tiny edge of the knife. And just rubbing it back and forth. Just enough to get it to come off. We're not too worried about a lot of breaking in here. If a little bit of breaking happens, that's fine. This mountain is a bit closer than the others. So maybe have a little bit of a lighter touch on this mountain. Make it look more detailed than the others. That'll help to bring it forward. With the filbert brush, we'll go through some yellow and green. And let's see, maybe right here. Let's start tapping on the indication of a little grassy meadow back here. Or maybe a tree line. Just something that grows up this mountain. Just tap it right on. If your paint will not come off, thin it down with just a little bit of the paint thinner. And it should come off very easily. You don't have to tap too hard to get this to come off. You can brush in just a little bit of color like that. Then maybe tap around it. Create trees and grass, and you don't really care what's back here. It's just some things growing in the background. And it helps to tie this mountain in with the foreground that we're going to be putting in just a minute. With the fan brush and a lot of dark color, we can start right here and begin tapping in some very distant evergreen trees. Just tap them right in with the top corner of the brush. We're going to be adding some more detailed ones in front, so we don't have to spend too long on these. Now we can begin adding some detail to these trees. This time I'm going to tap and let that brush run back and forth right down the tree. See, that creates a little bit more detail. Then just fill it in with very, very dark color. These trees must be dark because we need the contrast, that light against dark. That'll push the background very, very far away and give this painting a lot of interest. And we'll stop right there. I'm going to have this nice, gentle, rolling hill in the foreground. Okay, big one. We need a big one. Just touch, work all the way down the tree. Back and forth. With just a little bit of black on the brush, we can drop in some grass. This is just the dark part of the grass. We're going to come back and add some highlights on top. As you can see, I added just a little bit of yellow so that it went from very dark up to kind of light. So now I'll tap the 2-inch brush through some yellow and white. And now look, this is just going to be very bright. Very, very bright, shiny highlight. Like this is a sunlit meadow down here. You can see why I wanted that maybe not quite so dark. So we have a nice bright color here. Very, very bright. And then we'll want it to get darker as it fades down into shadow. With the liner brush and a little bit of white paint, we can add in just a few little flowers here in the foreground. We don't need too much, and they should be bigger in the front and then a little bit smaller as you go back. Now I'll load up a fan brush with some yellow and green. And we can begin dropping on just a tiny little bit of highlight to these evergreen trees. We don't want much, because I really like that contrast of the dark trees against that light misty background. So I want to save most of that contrast. We'll just drop on a little bit of highlight just so the trees don't look flat. But we definitely don't want to make them too bright. Also, we don't want to distract from that bright meadow down here. I like that very, very sunlit area down there. With the 1-inch brush, we can just tap on tiny indication of some sunlit bushes down here. We don't want too many because we don't want to distract. But this just gives it a little bit more detail and more interest. And it really makes your painting look kind of finished and detailed. Very nice. All right, well, I think we're done. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Don't forget to check out my website and also my instructional DVDs. And thanks for watching.